Welcome to Humans Behind Art. Today is part 2 of our conversation with the dancer Albert Galindo. In case you haven't seen part 1 yet, you can click the card up here or find the link down in the video description. While in part 1 we talked more about the dance and performing world in general, in part 2 we dive a lot deeper into the function and role of art academies in schools, as that is exactly the place where for most artists their career starts. Before we start though, a big thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. By becoming a Patreon supporter of CAPTA LAVIE yourself, you enable us to give more attention to our work here and create more and better content for you. Enough pre-talk though. Let's lean back and enjoy part 2 of our conversation with the dancer Albert Galindo.
For sure.
When we talked a little while ago about being a student and being at an academy and trying to do this self-finding, let's say, I'm wondering what the schools can do to support that. I don't know how it was for you, but for me there hasn't often been the question about concerning us students, okay, what is it that you're going for? But it was just looked at the product and the performance, the creation, and the technical progress. Instead of looking at, okay, where does this student want to go? What does he want to achieve? And then comparing what he managed to that. Instead of just looking from the outside at something and then having to judge if a piece is worthy of passing this assignment or not.
Yeah.
How was it for you then? How is it in dance in general? And that, as at least I feel that is a point where schools, in my opinion, should take much more responsibility to help their students as well on this path. For those that want, at least to give this opportunity, this option.
But what do you mean in a way to like that to help them to direct them into like the company that they think that will be the best for this person, or
No,
to like
not that. More to, like we said earlier, that there's a lot of self-questioning happening, and for some people this self-questioning is happening more, for others less. That's all fine, but to turn this self-questioning into an open questioning, into a conversation, and to help in this process of asking yourself all those things, and to make the student as well aware of all the options and all the possibilities that are there, and to support the student in this self-finding process. Not telling the student, okay, this company fits for you and now I defined your path. No, definitely not. Rather the opposite of asking the student, okay, looking at the student, what path is he or she going on, and how can I support this student on this path? And if he or she wants to change direction, okay, well, I need to be in conversation and then support that change of direction as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one because I started. I was in a conservatoire like from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening, from the age of 11. So, and then I was in a very intense school in Canada, working from Monday until I think it was Monday until Saturday, nonstop, and one day off. And it was supposed to be the place where after that I needed to get a job and have my professional career. No?
Yeah.
So I think from my experience, what I missed a bit in all the schools I was, it is the it is in a way to have this person who like serves as a mentor
Yeah.
and like helps you. It's not that it's guiding you, it's more that he's listening to you,
Yes, exactly.
you know? Because like even a teacher, you know, she or he will not have the perfect answer for you, or will not give you the exact phrase that you need to hear, you know what I mean? Or like the right direction. No, because there's none. No,
Yeah.
like as like we look at our family to like, please, mom or dad, like tell me the thing, what should I do? No, what should I do? Which is amazing. I love that phrase. No, what should I do? You know, and they tell you something with such reassurance, and you're like, oh my God, yes, they're right. No, and
Yeah.
then you grow up and you're like, "Ah, who I can ask this question, no? And there's nobody there to ask
Mm.
that question because nobody knows,
Yeah.
you know? So I think what the school needs is to have those people who are there to listen to the students,
Yeah.
but to truly listen to the students.
Yes.
And that's what I really, in a way, missed the most in
Mm.
school. And yeah, and that would be a big one. And also, it is funny, no? Because when you become, I don't want to say that for everybody because
Mm.
it wouldn't be true for every place. But sometimes when I felt that when you become a teacher an institution, like in a way, like yes, you had your dance career and you had your own experience, but now let's say you're concentrating into working on the new generation. But when you do that, you lose a bit of touch with what is happening in the world right now
Yeah.
because you're not in that market of being a dancer anymore or a performer or like having to be on the last, what is the last meme coming out or what is the last show, what is the most, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
in a way, like you stay with what you have, your own experience, which is normal, no?
Yeah.
So I think what really helped me a lot when I was in school is when they brought us guests and they brought us like people who were working in the market currently and were able to give us like a feedback, you
Mm.
know. And it was the best for me when they brought up people from very different diverse places, you know. So it
Yeah.
wasn't only one kind of dancer. It was like a dancer who was working with Peanut Pouch, another one who was working for Valcheva, another one who was working for Ipencam, another one
Mm.
who was on his own project, another one who was working with Feldenkrais method, another one who was, you know, so that's, and then you enrich yourself as a student,
Mm.
and then you can find yourself in maybe in one of these persons and say like, okay, this is the direction that I
Yeah.
that I see myself going into, you know.
Mm.
And then the teacher should be there to be okay with that idea
Yeah.
and to encourage you and to find the ways and the tools to nurture you for you to be the best on that path.
Mm.
But it's really hard.
Definitely. Definitely.
Because you're managing, no, probably you're managing like 20 students with like complete different personalities and
Yeah.
and I also understand that as a school institution, like you want to make sure that those people live with the job and that they're
Mm.
gonna be safe and you know what I mean? So they
Yeah.
also have this pressure, it's like a parent with their kids, which sometimes they're like so strict and so structures because they want their children to be able to survive and
Mm.
you know sometimes they put them into they put these walls that are not needed, no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yes.
yeah, and that's why I said it's a tricky one.
Mm. I
But
do think though
yes,
that especially and I completely agree on that, what you said, that those schools somewhat take a parent role. Um, I think especially because they naturally somewhat take this role if they want to or not. It's really important to show trust towards their students and
yeah,
trust the path that the student is going. Like for myself, I'm super grateful for having received the support from my parents that I was able to go on this weird, strange adventure of going into a circus school, and who the fuck knows how you're gonna make money with that and have a living afterwards.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I
I
wish
received the
they could
support,
call
and
me.
now I'm doing something, and I'm super happy about that. But it's because they trusted that, okay, he will go his way, and he will find a way, and whatever I can do to support him on that, great.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Like yeah, I mean, first of all, like the trust that our parents gave to us, it's fantastic.
Yes.
Um, so, but also like what you said right now, like, well, that's another thing that is also very interesting, like being able to survive in the career that you chose to be in,
Mm.
you know, that is also something very, that it's part of the struggle, you
Yeah.
know, into being an artist, um, which I think that that's something that they should have taught us in the school.
That's a good point. Yes.
Because a lot of times, like you go into a school and you're like, okay, yes, my goal is to be, that's another thing, like my goal was always after school, I get a job. After school, I get a job, I sign a contract, and then I'm worth it,
Yeah.
But that's a horrible way of thinking. Horrible. Because then you finish school, and usually when you're a dancer, you finish early. Like, I don't know, I finished when I was 18, but I was working before. But you know what I mean? Like, or you
Yeah.
finish at 22, doesn't matter. But like, you finish school, you go to get your job, you sign your contract, and then you're like, okay, now what?
Mm.
You
You fall
know,
into
I
this
spent all
hole.
these years thinking, yeah, I spent all these years thinking, yes, my goal is to get a contract, and then I will make myself proud. I will make my family proud. I will make my friends proud. Now I accomplished my dream, no? But then you sign the job, and then what happens? Like,
Mm.
what's your next goal?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, I have to do this for a long time, So then like, I need to print a new one, I guess, no?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is like your goal should always be to like just be better and keep learning,
Mm.
you know? Not be better, but continue digging and continue learning and continue observing and to
Yeah.
continue growing. Because if not, and going back to what I think they should have taught us in school is that, for those people who their destiny is not to just sign a contract and be there, like who their destiny is to create their own work or to like apply for this competition or to create their own, yeah, like they need to teach them and give
Yeah.
them the tools of how to do that,
Yeah.
like, or give them an idea of how these things work,
Mm.
because there's a lot of uh, verbal communication needed, a lot of how to uh, ask for for money, or like
Mhm.
technicalities in the theater, or
Mm.
who to talk about, of how to do your taxes, or how to,
Yeah.
there's a lot of aspect that is not only like being a dancer that you need in order to survive.
Yeah.
That it's funny, no? Because you think like, yes, I just need to go to the studio and work. No, 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 no.
Mm.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
other things that, in a way, I found myself teaching those things on. I taught them by myself to myself, or
Yeah.
friends that helped me, but nobody really in school explained me. And I think that should change.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was talking with some friends the other day who are creating their own company, and they're having residencies at the moment for their first creation for a show, and it's all going beautifully, and it's going to be a really interesting show, I think. And they also said, okay, back when they were still studying, and somebody said, okay, the actual life you're going to have is going to be at least 50% of the work you do will be not in the studio, but in front of your laptop. And they were laughing about it back then, and now realizing, okay, 50-50, he actually still said it in a very soft way, because reality is you're so much busy writing emails, writing applications, and having to teach yourself all those skills of, okay, how do I write funding application? How do I write so many different things? How do I ask for residencies? Where do I find residencies? Do I have to just look for open calls, or no? You can just write to the place itself most of the time, and they are happy. They are waiting for people to send them things.
And you don't know. Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you don't even know that you could just ask,
yeah.
then where are you gonna go? And I think there's a lot of time being lost as well by having to teach yourself all those skills when you're at the place where actually you need to make money right now because
Yeah.
you're not in school anymore, so you kind of need your income somehow. And I see a lot of people struggling in exactly this moment, and sadly, many people then as well saying, okay, maybe this is nothing for me, and they stop and go into a normal line of work, let's say, that has more stability and security. And I think it's a pity, and I completely agree. Yes, schools should take care of that, and I think that's as well a matter of supporting your student in that sense by making sure they are not only becoming technically good, but as
Yeah.
well are able to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree.
Mm.
Yeah. Like you're not only training a body, you're training a mind. No?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they should keep that in mind, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. It's just
It's
hard
different
to.
depending from school to school, I think now. For me with
Yeah.
Codarts, I count myself relatively lucky because okay, we had some entrepreneurship classes and some basic things of okay, how to build a company and different forms of companies you can have legally and those kind of things. So we had some training in that, which was beautiful. And what I really valued Codarts for as well is we had access to a mental coaching. It was nothing that was constantly there. There were a few classes here and there with someone, but when you had a problem, you had somebody that you could go to. And I think that is incredibly valuable and super important as well. And I think it should be pushed even more because myself as well, when I had my struggles, I went to that place very late because this realizing to yourself of okay, I need help right now is something very difficult to realize yourself and to agree to yourself, okay, yes, I need somebody to help me out of this.
Yeah.
To take this step is incredibly difficult. And
It's really, really hard.
mm,
But it's also now that they say that people who show their vulnerability are the strongest ones, no?
yes,
So in a way, I do really believe in that. So
yeah.
good for you for doing that. Yeah, yeah. For me, I mean, I never had that person that I could
Mm,
do that with in school, but I always find my way to find a friend or
yeah.
a mentor figure who I could go and talk with,
Mm,
which is
nice.
something that I really would want to encourage people is if you have the need to talk, find somebody to talk to. Like
Yeah.
it is really important.
Mm,
It also, yeah, like a lot of the times in school, like how can I say, like we you know like we see our parents as this figure that we see them all the time and so constant that sometimes like we disregard them, you know.
yeah.
So in school, like you spend so many years with the same teacher, and you're like, "Ugh," like you don't want to hear about it anymore. But like something I learned, and I was really lucky to learn it like quite early, is that I could actually go to those people and talk to them
Yeah.
and be like, tell me your experience in the dance world, like tell me what you think, or like,
Mm,
like I would have like a body conditioner teacher in kibbutz, and I would just go to her and like, we became best friends, And just hearing about her experiences, like, it gave me an idea of what I would encounter, you know, or ballet teachers, or people who came and taught us repertoire, or like, I don't know. There's always like, I think, this fear or this shyness when you're in school that you don't want to bother anybody,
Mm.
you know. But actually, people love to be bothered,
Yes.
you know. We love to talk, you know, because we hear ourselves and we're also learning through that. So, just like, you know, always be polite and always be nice and careful. That's,
Mm.
you know, I would encourage anybody that if
Yeah.
they want to talk to somebody, if they want to send that email, do it, because usually most of the times the people in the other side feel like excited to be able to help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. And also, okay, those people might be your teachers, but they're still humans, same as you. And we
yeah,
can learn from each other. And as much as it is a teacher's responsibility to pull as much as they can out of their students, I think it is as much the students' responsibility to pull as much out of their teachers as they can.
yeah, of
And
course.
take an active side in that as well. Like from what you just said, okay, you spend a long time with the same teacher, and maybe you don't like his classes, and you kind of drag yourself to his class every time because you have to. Be thankful that you can take this class and that you have this opportunity, and it is also up to you to make this class work for you. It is not only up to the teacher. The energy that you bring into the studio is as well the energy you will get out of it. And if you come in
Yeah,
already with this attitude of, we're gonna do this phrase again and I don't like it, yeah, you don't have to like it, but if you do it, and you will still get an experience out of it. And it's not always about liking or not liking, but being open to making an experience as well, and putting
yeah,
yourself into different situations. Because in the work field,
yeah,
in the end, it will be very much the same. There are days where you have a show and you are really not in the mood for going on stage, but you have to. And you have to find this energy somewhere.
yeah. I had this when I was in keyboards. We had this piece that we did it. I think, I don't know, like 80 times.
Mm.
Like, it was really, yeah. I was in shock. Like, we also went on tour. We went to South America. We went to Korea. We went to China. We went to, like, everywhere with it, like all around Europe and the States. And it was always the same piece, you know,
Mm.
because all these festivals were by the same one. So like we would just go and perform the same piece, and I was doing the same. And first of all, it was very, very demanding physically,
Yeah.
like demanding. And so it wasn't like, oh, I go there, you know, and I just, no, 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 no. It was a piece that needed for me to have a good warm up, to
Mm.
have, to be concentrated, to do my meditation, whatever, to like feel my body, to take rest the day before and the day after, you know, like
Yeah.
this kind of work. And to be honest, like, there was a moment of like, I felt like, oh my God, I cannot do it anymore because I don't find the pleasure.
Mm.
But like something like switched in my head at some point, and I was like, okay, let's try to find something different
Yeah.
from it every day. Let's try to create a new experience. Let's try to. It's really easy to say and really hard to accomplish,
Yes, I know.
but when you manage to do it, it actually works.
Yeah,
Like, it actually kind of works. And
I completely agree.
maybe it doesn't work for everything, no? Maybe there's really a thing that you really don't like and your body's telling you, like, blocking, like, no, no,
Mm.
no. And that's fine.
Mm.
But yeah, like, just let yourself have an experience
Mm.
and just just be open for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the one hand side, you have to listen to your body and know, okay, where are the boundaries of what you can do, and also what you want, what you want to do. But at the
Yeah.
same time, okay, you can push yourself as well and keep yourself open for something. The show that I'm playing with a small Belgian company, I played coming up to 200 times now, I think. and it's a lot of shows, and it's really work to stay alive inside of it. But there was a phase like, okay, when I started to play this show, it was fun, and I was still learning it and figuring things out, and then you reach your peak somewhere where, okay, I kind of feel like I know everything now, and then it starts to go down a bit, and you're not having that much fun anymore. But afterwards, it goes up again. At least for me, it was this way, and it stayed then on this up level where I find still in every show that I play, I discover new things because I go into the show wanting to discover something new as well, and start trying to be super open and super aware, and I find so many different things inside, because as well each day that I go into it and play the show, I'm in a different mood. I'm a slightly different person every day. So the same
yeah,
movements that I do will cause something else inside of me, and my experience of a very much exact the same thing will always be different. And
yeah,
once I start to listen to it and get aware of it, it becomes this beautiful, almost meditative experience sometimes, where
yeah,
it is a place that is really your home, because you know what you do, because you've done it so many times. But
yeah.
you know your house as well. But when was the last time you really felt the texture of a table? Um, and when was the last time you really felt the floor with your feet, and simple things like this? And you start to see things with completely new eyes again. And that is something that was really the main thing that I'm learning, and still learning actually from this show that I'm playing so much, and why I'm still excited and happy to play it as well.
Yeah. First of all, I would love to see it. So come to Germany and do it here. I'm gonna visit.
We were
But
supposed to play in Germany actually for the first time last year, but then Corona happened, and who knows when we will play again, hopefully soon.
mm, the there's something that so it's nice to think about it because it's not only about yourself, no?
Mm,
Like what it's all nice, what is nice and sad about live performance is it's something that happens in the moment and then it
mm,
becomes a memory,
yeah,
right? We cannot hold on from it forever.
yeah,
So like when you have to do a show like and repeat it constantly, like um, you're also like dancing it for different audience every night,
yeah,
you know, and every audience has different energy, and every theater has a different floor and different lights and different technicians
mm,
and or echo of the sound of the music
yeah,
or you know, like I was dancing this piece in Mexico with like high altitude, and we had like this oxygen mask in the side, you know, and I was dying.
wow.
I was like, oh, give me, you know. And the next after the next show, I was like, okay, let's not do it without the mask. Let's see how it feels. It felt horrible, but
Mm.
it was a complete difference. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's a very extreme difference, but I get your point.
yeah, like you know, you can always find a different way
Yeah.
of approaching it, and you know. And as I said, no, it's something that in a way dies so quickly,
Mm,
and it's a tragic about
mm,
life and performance, no, that
yeah.
it's it's um it's a memory that you share with the audience for such a small amount of time,
Mm,
and it's unique in between you and then it dies, and you become a memory, no,
yeah.
and then you need to all over again.
It's true, but it's also what makes, for me at least, live performing so beautiful and so interesting. Because,
Yeah,
okay, yes, in a video you can capture something, and if you make a video piece, um, but still, it will always be a memory. Like,
yeah,
also for the audience, each time they watch this clip, they will be a different person. And when I do the same thing on stage, then it is still a moment that I can share together with them. Whereas when it is a video, I am outside of it and I'm not having this communal experience with them, this shared moment. And for me, it is very important and very beautiful to have this moment of being together, and communicating with someone and seeing their response and feeling their response as well, which is why I love to be on stage and why I'm in my work so much looking at working with audiences and playing with an audience and seeing, okay, my subject is the audience most of the time in what I do. And it keeps it really alive and interesting for me. And that is really something that looking at circus is something that I learned when I did street performances, where I really had to, okay, I had to gather my audience and play a show and constantly be aware of, okay, what is the audience at right now, making sure that it stays interesting and exciting for them to watch, because otherwise they just leave. And in a theater they wouldn't because of somewhat social obligations. But on the street, the audience has the opportunity to be a lot more honest in their reaction because they don't feel obliged to act a certain way. And I would love to create this freedom of the audience inside of the theater again as well, because it's super valuable, I think.
No, but that's a really cool idea, for sure. It's a scary idea. People can be really critical really fast.
Yes,
So,
but the moment that they are critical, they are engaging with the work. And I'm much more satisfied if somebody engages with something and doesn't like it. For me, that's fine. That's personal taste. Compared to somebody who's just sitting there and consuming something, but not engaging really with it.
that's true. That's true. But I'm just gonna put a small but here. But sometimes I feel like like, how can I say this? Like sometimes like some dance work, some works, some artworks, like are not meant there to please an audience.
Yeah,
Not meant
exactly.
to create a good sensation or to make them feel happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
No,
uh,
and I think
and I
those kind of pieces are super important. We have to shock the audience as well in moments and to bring them to new places and make them look at the ugly side of things as well. Show them the things that they don't want to see sometimes, but it's still a truth.
I just found really hard to find a way to, if you make a piece about a theme that is quite dark or hard or sad, and then it will really be really hard for you to like keep them seated. You know what I mean? Throughout the whole piece, if it's something that it's not immediately like being like, oh wow, I'm attracted by this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, then you need to educate an audience, but also they should know what they're stepping into. So yeah. Anyway,
But
I really like this idea that you said. Definitely.
But if they're like, why do I have to keep them seated? I mean, if they stand up, they are reacting onto something that is happening. And so much stuff that is happening in our current society continues to happen because nobody stands up, because people just look away. And on a stage, we have the situation of where they are somewhat socially obliged to keep looking at it. And that looking away becomes a political action because it becomes visible in this space by standing up and leaving or something. And it becomes through this action as well, this audience member becomes a performer that is actually contributing to the piece through this action and showcasing the situation of how things are. And I think that is incredibly interesting. And then it is not as much educating the audience, but it is acknowledging the audience for what they do and who they are as well, because they are contributing to something. It is not, okay, I teach you something and you have to listen, but this is how something is. You can look at it and you can react on it. I'm not telling you it is a certain way, but I want you to react to it as well in whatever way is your way. Be it to stand up and leave, be it to throw a tomato at me, I don't know. But
and then I think like by doing that, then you really create an honest interaction in between the performer and the audience.
yes, then I'm not just having communication with the audience on this somewhat sophisticated level that contemporary dance often kind of is in, and not just on an emotional level, but on a level that is much more human to human and not performer to audience. And I think that is making as well a bit the circle to the things that we talked earlier, where we were talking about, okay, we need more communication, we need more listening, and support of the individual in their path, and not giving a direction on something.
Yeah, something I really liked from that is that we use our bodies to communicate,
Yeah.
like movement is a silent language, and so we're asking people to talk to us while we talk with our bodies, and then we restrict them into this like sitting position for 1 hour without the possibility of moving their own. So like,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we are talking through movement, but we are restricting their movement, so we don't even allow them to answer. And that is nothing that we do consciously most of the time, but it's just something given through architecture and through how theater has become in this society. I mean, it's something that has been different 50 years ago. There it was still a statement to, and something you would do, to stand up and leave the theater, and you would make sure to slam the door on the way out as loud as you can, so that all the performers know that you didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean that I don't agree with.
Yes,
But
I think that's just an example of an extreme, definitely.
for sure.
But it
It's
showcases a
something that
little
I
bit the point.
no completely like something that I like from watching. I think that's why I like flamenco and I wanted to be a flamenco dancer. Like the audience was interacting with the dancers, no? Like there's this thing that if the dancer is doing something like extraordinary or like something that it's you got wow emotionally like moved by it, like they yell ole or they clap or they say something, no, to encourage them to continue moving. Of course, not every performance can be, with the same. Like, if I have to yell every time I get excited, you know what I mean? Like, but it is nice. It is nice to think about it, right? Because me, in my own experience, like I never had the the chance to have an interaction with an audience more than being in a black box and not seeing them, you know. So yeah, I find it really cool. Like I wish you can do it, and I wish it works out for you, and you tell me how it goes,
For
and if
sure.
they stay or not. Okay. But yeah.
I don't mind if they leave. It's an experience I made on the street. People sometimes leave in the middle of the show or towards the end, like also in the end of the show. Many people watch the entire show, and then when the head is going around, they leave. And I don't mind that they don't pay. That's no problem. That's okay. I don't know the situation they are in, so I cannot force anyone. But it's then as well a matter of respect to at least come forwards to the performer, and if you enjoyed it, say thank you. And in my street shows, I always encourage the people, and towards the end, when there is then the awkward part of talking about the money, and say, okay, if you don't have the money, or even if you don't want to spend the money, but if you enjoyed it, please still come forward, shake my hand, say thank you if you had a good time. It means so much to me, and it's not just a sentence, but it's really something that, from my experience, all the street performers that are saying it, they really mean it as well, because they are on the street because they enjoy this human interaction as well. And having somebody come to you after a show and just shake your hand, it's a moment of 5 seconds, but it's really something that can make your day, and it's really beautiful. And
Well, no, I like that. I like my experience is different from it, no, but I like that. Like usually for me, I'm like I do like more being in the other side. Like I like the idea of the creation process or making the craft,
yeah,
not so much the showing. Like
mm,
which it's funny because of course I like performing, but it's not the thing that really calls me the most.
yeah,
You know, because it takes me out of my game. There's a lot of adrenaline. There's a lot of like unknown. There's a lot of like there's things out of your control, which is beautiful, but at the same time, like for me, I'm somebody who like I can easily get not stressed, but like it affects my mood a lot, no?
mm,
But but yes, like I think what we should do is to educate an audience and let them know that it's okay to approach us and give
yeah.
us their feedback. Because a lot of the times they think it's not that they don't want to say it, it's just they feel shy or they feel scared or they
But
feel
of
like they
course
don't
they
belong.
feel this way because just through the architecture, this connection is already there's already so much distance being created just by how our theaters most of the time are designed.
Yeah.
And I think that it is somewhat time there for theaters to renovate, let's say, and to change the space towards making this contact possible,
Mhm.
if it is wanted, of course. Um,
Yeah.
that's something that I realized a little bit when I was in Italy, that I'm talking there with other dancers and talking. I don't know if you know him, Carlo Massari. Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
and he was talking as well when through the dance pieces that he was on tour with and things that in Italy you have these very traditional theaters, whereas in Germany, he said, and I agree to that, the theaters are much more modular, and you have much more opportunities to change the layout of stage and audience. It is not
Mm.
this, okay, you have a box here and then the audience, the auditorium here, clearly separated, different height, different floor, and different everything. But it becomes much more, it resembles more and more a modular dance studio where you have a movable tribune or you put chairs or you put whatever. And it's something that allows as well, just through that, for a very different kind of performance and interaction and experience through that as well, which I find is very interesting and something that I wish will be happening more and more, and that we develop new types of stages
Mm.
and places to perform. I mean, okay,
I
there's
mean,
street performances and there's theater performances as the big pillars, let's say, but there is so much in between that we could fill, but there's so little
but I
opportunity
think it
somewhat
will.
to curate for that.
I think it will because we work by stimulation.
Yes.
You know, we love to be stimulated, and more than ever, like now we get so many like stimulations out from like your phone or like the world is moving so fast,
Yes.
like so I think that the our world will also move in that direction,
Yeah.
or that's what I hope so. I mean, I always feel like it takes a big step and then it takes a small step back and then it
Hmm.
takes a big step and then it takes it back a bit, so it's not gonna go uphill like that, but I think it's slowly gonna get there who I
Yeah.
want to believe. yeah. I mean, it's more because like from the moment I graduated until now, like companies who were doing some kind of really one certain type of work, now they're doing a much bigger range of
Mm.
things because they need to keep themselves like innovated and dancers who were only doing a certain kind of technique, now they're dancers who they know that technique and three more, you know.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think with performances will be the same thing. And also now, like we're in a pandemic, no, but when the theaters reopen, then we need to find a way to re-engage that audience to come back into the theater and
Mm.
to teach them again that it is something that it's beautiful and that they should be a part of.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a way, I'm excited to see how it's going to go
Yes, it's gonna be
because
very exciting.
it's not that yeah, I really don't know if we lost audience. I don't know if actually we gain audience and they're just
Mm.
waiting for it to come back and go back into our shows.
Mm.
But it's for sure gonna change.
Yes.
And I just don't know yet which direction. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah. And also like we need to also understand that we cannot take it for granted, you know,
Yes.
that we we always like it's sad to say it this way, but we will always have to fight and we will always have to engage with the audience and we will always have to like ask, no, or like we teach them or it is it is a job that will never be safe, let's say. But we
Yeah.
also don't want it to be safe because if not
Mm.
there's no fight and without fight there's no innovation, without
Yeah,
innovation, you know what I mean? Like it's a
exactly.
thin line, yeah.
Mm.
It's a thin line, but yeah. It's something that I learned much later, no? Like I was in these two big companies and even now also like I always had an audience.
Mm.
No matter where I was going, it was always the theater, it was always people clapping and you felt good and but then you meet people or you put yourself in other projects and then nobody comes into the theater and you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
you know? So then as we said, no, like 50% in the studio, 50% office.
Yeah,
Or yeah.
exactly. Nice. Thank you very much for watching. If you're still here, I must assume that you enjoyed what you saw. Let us know and share your own thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like what we do here at CAPTA LAVIE, I want to encourage you again to support us on Patreon. Your support really does make a difference to us. That was it from Humans Behind Art for today. My name is Jacob, and we come back with new featured artists every Friday and with new episodes of Humans Behind Art on Sundays. I wish you a nice day and see you soon. Ciao.